Punters, we're coming into the biggest racing week of the year. And not only that, we've got the biggest day, that race, the first Tuesday in November, the race that stops the nation. There's all the cliches out. We've got them out early. Mick Gannon, how you going, mate?
Mate, doing well off about 3 hours sleep, pumped, 3 coffees in. Let's go.
Yeah, if anyone's watching and they see the bags under our eyes, we're actually recording this on Sunday morning. We've got a great show ahead, guys and girls, so don't go away. We're going to be joined by guests giving their tips. Deane Watling, Rick Morris are coming in to give their tips in our preview. That'll happen at the back end of the program. We're going to start off with the honour roll. We're going to tell you who has tipped more Melbourne Cup winners than anyone since the site started in 2009. So that's 11 Melbourne Cups. Certainly enough history to tell you who's got it right more than not. And in the middle there, we're going to recap a little segment of our Deane Lester interview where he talks specifically about the Melbourne Cup, how to identify a runner who can get the distance and, more importantly, who can win the race. Mick Gannon, you've got a few things to say, mate. Tell punters what is coming up apart from this show, this Melbourne Cup week.
Mate, we have a huge week, lots of content ahead. There'll be Melbourne Cup previews. There'll be a brutally honest assessment of your Melbourne Cup runner. So I will be tearing a couple apart there. Be sure to chime in if you've got any mates that need to know the chances of a horse and you want to give them, a good old-fashioned, here you go, give them that article, they'll love it. Deane Watling and myself will be producing another all-in show. We will be covering Cup Day, Oaks Day, and Stakes Day. So 3 meetings there we'll be covering. That'll be out tomorrow morning, so be sure to check that out.
Yeah, look, that brutal assessment of the Melbourne Cup runners is certainly one you want to watch. Come to thegreattipoff.com, look for it. It'll be Melbourne Cup brutal assessment. And it's by Mick Gannon. Certainly gets a lot of attention each year, so look out for that one. Of course, folks, don't forget your Melbourne Cup horse racing tips. There is only one place to come. It's thegreattipoff.com, and the reason for that is all the tipsters tips are there. Anyone you can think of with stats. That's what we're about. We've since 2009, every tip has been recorded on the site, and we can tell you who are the track experts, who's the experts at Flemington, who's won more Melbourne Cups or tipped more Melbourne Cup winners, et cetera, et cetera. Thegreattipoff.com. Without any further ado, Mick, what do you reckon, mate? Let's get into this Melbourne Cup special.
Mate, let's get into it. And punters, don't forget, please subscribe, comment, engage. That is our oxygen. Get around it. Look forward to it. Let's go, Damo.
Absolutely. Let's go. All right, Mick. So, of course, at thegreattipoff.com, we have all the stats. And since 2009, that's 11 years ago now, we have been recording the stats. In fact, we're getting on to our 12th year. It's actually 11 Melbourne Cups that we've recorded for. So what we wanted to do before we come into this 12th one is find out who has tipped more Melbourne Cup winners than anyone else. So, Mick, we ran the stats and, mate, look, hey, it's going to be absolutely no surprise. Here it is, Mick. Look at that at the top of the list.
Deane Lester.
Deane Lester. Hey. There he is. All Melbourne Cup winners. Started in 2016 with our Mandan, then Rekindling, Vow and Declare. And, of course, last year he tipped Twilight Payment. It was a great story because, of course, Jai McNeil, who rode it home, obviously, has a friendship with him as well. And, look, it was a great story. So that was one that stands out. And, of course, Michael Manley, who's now tipping with thegreattipoff.com. He's had 3. Obviously, his days there with Herald Sun. We've been capturing his tips since they started appearing when we started in 2009. And, of course, Fiorente, our Mandan, and Vow and Declare. So there they are, folks. So, of course, if you come to thegreattipoff.com, we'll have a Melbourne Cup tips banner pretty much on every page. You click that banner, you're going to go to the page which will show everyone who has a Melbourne Cup tip for the day. Now, I thought I should just mention very quickly there was a whole range of punters and tipsters who and media experts who had tips 2 Melbourne Cup winners. A couple of honourable mentions. Chris Roots there from Sydney Morning Herald. He's tipped 2. Chris Nelson, of course, from Best Bets, SEN Track. I think I've covered them all. Tab Touch, I think he appears just about everywhere. Chris Scalzi, who we had on, Mick, you remember, earlier in the year from Racing and Sports. He's tip 2. And a special mention out to 4Cat17, who's a punter on the site. He's tip 2 as well. Mick, I counted mine, mate. I haven't put tips on the site for all those Melbourne Cups, but I've actually backed 2 plus a saver, so 2.5. I don't know if you count that. How about yourself, Mick?
Three, mate. Give yourself 3. Yeah, mate. 3 for myself. We're doing cross counter, rekindling, and Green Moon. Bit sick for the Lloyd Williams runners.
Yeah, there we go. Mine was, of course, Shocking and Almandon. All right, punters, so don't forget, come to the site. It's full of stats. And this is just a quick example of one of those for Melbourne Cup Day. All right, Mick, of course, last week we spoke to Deane Lester and we got some insights, of course, about Flemington in general, his staking plan and speed maps, etc. Well worth watching the whole interview. It's there on YouTube. But also what we wanted to do for this episode is just pick out specifically, I asked Deane, how do you pick a horse that can get the distance, given that most of the runners in the Cup haven't got the distance before. I know there's a handful this year that have actually got to 3,200, but obviously the field's 24 runners and there's a lot who haven't. So I asked him, how do you identify who has got the distance? And I also asked him, and then obviously identify the Cup winner. What are you looking for? What sort of things? And he gave us some great insights, Mick. So thought it's a great opportunity to replay that now. What do you reckon?
Let's check it out, mate.
All right. Dino, we coming up to that race, the Melbourne Cup. Look, it's funny, hey, it's the biggest race in the racing calendar. It's the one that stops the nation. All those cliches. Let's face it. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest fields of the year, and within that, we've got probably the majority of the field going around who have never got that distance before, and we're asking punters to try and pick the winner. Can you just talk to Dino when you're looking and doing form for the Melbourne Cup? What are you looking for? What are the indicators that you're looking for that tell you this horse can get the distance and obviously go on and win what is probably arguably one of the toughest races on the calendar?
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I think the first thing you've got to look at is a horse that's relaxed, that will handle, as you said, there's 24 runners. We don't have, Flemington only have the provision for 2 races a year for 24 runners, the Newmarket, which is the sprinters, and the stayers in the Melbourne Cup. So there's not a lot of practice for both horse or rider in such massive fields. So you want a horse that's going to, if there's a bit of hustle bustle, won't get fired up because they've got to conserve energy for that finishing run and give themselves that chance at running 3,200 metres. So that's the first point. I think the modern Melbourne Cup has changed significantly. 4 of the last 6 winners have raced right on the pace. None more so than last year, Twilight Payment, but Vow and Declare 2 years ago. It's only really the likes of Almandon coming from well back and Cross Counter coming from well back. But Prince of Penzance well and truly in the first half of the field. The modern Melbourne Cup has changed a bit, and it's actually, I think, the European influence. At first, they didn't adapt to our race, and we used to run it at a very fast speed and break them open very early. And even though they're great stayers, their stayers like to warm into their work. And now we're actually playing it a bit their way. So it's a bit of a strange one. And I thought last year was a bit of a flick around an older Melbourne Cup where Twilight Payment actually ran him into the ground, but we had some great closers that just didn't quite get there. So this year, you're going to have Incentivise is going to be totally the hunted. He's going to be in the first 4. Everyone knows where he's going to be. Everyone knows he's now got 57 kilos. Will he have an easy time of it? With Twilight Payment in the race, with a couple of others in the race, no, he won't. Will he still be too good? He may well be. Does he give the indication he'll run 3,200? Absolutely. Because he's horses. Some horses can be on pace and they want to go a bit faster. He goes like into a bubble and just relaxes and conserves energy. And we've seen horses come up to him and he just doesn't change his stride. He just keeps in his rhythm and he gets the job done. So it's a bit of a fairy tale. And it's a bit hard to believe on March 27, he got beaten 16 lengths in a Toowoomba maiden and he's going to win a Melbourne Cup, but he's only a few days away from achieving it.
So some of the viewers will probably say, "Oh, it's because he's a Queenslander." Do you know?
Well, probably. He's had that good winter up there. Gee, the water must be good up there.
Yeah. Well, look, there's something going on, that's for sure. All right, folks, we've got a special one this week, our Melbourne Cup edition. We're bringing in some guests to give their view, their tips, and their preview of the big race, the big Melbourne Cup. Saying a big hello out there to Deane Watling from the barrier attendant. How are you, mate?
Good, Gannon. Good, Damien. How you going, mate?
Yeah, I'm the better looking one, mate.
Yeah. I'll get that.
No, welcome on board there, Dino. Great to have you up early on Sunday morning. Tough gig. And of course, in Melbourne himself, we've got Rick Morris. How are you, Rick?
I'm great, Damien. This is my favourite time of the year, Melbourne Cup Day. So I'm always beaming around this time of year.
Fantastic. No, look, hey, great to have you guys on. Certainly pumped on this side of the camera. And, of course, Mick Gannon. Mick, look, I just thought before we get into it, maybe give us a few views on weather, track. I know you're the official GTO weatherman. Certainly Twitter knows that, that's for sure, mate. So that's very fitting that you would tell us all about the track, the weather, and anything else that punters need to think about on the day.
Yeah, first off, Rick, Deane and Damo, good morning. Very sleep deprived. Hope you've all had a cracking night's sleep. Chiming through all 24 runners. We head to Flemington, likely to start on a good 4 rail. We'll be out 2 meters and every possible with 30-degree temperatures on the day that we'll be on a good 3 track. If the boys have any different opinion, I'm sure they'll chime in. But we should see a pretty fair track. I think yesterday the track really suited probably lane 6 to 8. Be very interesting to see how it will play on Tuesday, mate.
Yeah, good. Nice intro. So a bit of a hard deck, guys. I think we're all in agreement there. So with that, let's get the ball rolling. Deane Watling, why don't we start off with your top 4? If you can give us a bit of reasoning behind each of them, and let's kick it off from there, mate.
Yeah, I'll go through my top 4 here. Incentivise on top, picks himself. I think there's no horse in the country going better, and you couldn't have a better profile leading into this. I think the slight knock for him is his weight in this race. I think that's the query for everyone. We know that Peter Moody stated after the Caulfield Cup run, he did pull up sore and he did know he had that run. So how well has he bounced out of that and can carry the big weight over the 3,200 metres? Second pick, I had Spanish Mission, comes with Stradivarius form, which is the best European form you can have. Was 0.2 lengths off him in the Lonsdale Cup over 3,200 metres. Had a real nice turn of foot coming from a little bit off the speed, so I expect him to be ridden like that. In for third, Floating Artist. I think backers have to stick with this horse. He's been so unlucky the last 2 starts. In the Mini Valley Cup last start, got shuffled back on the bend and had nowhere to go. Picked up late and was so strong through the line. And then in for fourth, had Charlie Rose. Can tie the form in with a few here. Was very good in the Geelong Cup. Tough win that. And I think gets to 3,200 metres. So there are a couple of points for mine on my top 4. So that's the way I'm looking to play. Incentivise on top. No issue there at all for that horse.
Yeah, look, hey, I can't think back in my time looking at the Melbourne Cup when we've had a $2. I mean, the quotes I saw this morning, $2.35. I know you could probably get a bit better around the other bookies, but that is.
So what's that, mate? The last 65, 70 years, or?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Not quite. But we'll move on. But yeah, very short Melbourne Cup favourite there. And look, by all means, no surprise. I mean, no surprise at all. Just thinking through a few things there, Dino, which normally we think about when we try and knock a Melbourne Cup favourite. You know, we say, can it get the distance? I'm not going to even ask that question after seeing the Caulfield Cup run. I think we'd all say quite overwhelmingly yes. But that question of weight does, Kim, and you mentioned it. And I just want to bring out a few little facts here. The last horse that won with 57 kegs on its back, of course, was the great Mackay Diva. You've got to go back to 1977. 1977, and that was Golden Black, Bart Cummings in 1977. So you look at those stats and you say, is a bit to lug around. I mean, if you think about extra keg and a half, going the extra trip, What makes you so confident that this great horse can get it done?
I think the biggest point and the biggest argument's not so much incentivized carrying the weight. I think it's his competitors. Normally we have that strong Northern Hemisphere 3-year-old, 4-year-old coming out here with that light weight that can get in very light, like I said, in that weight and knock a horse off like that. We don't have a horse down in the weights, I think, this year that has that dynamic turn of foot or dynamic form coming here to knock him off. So I think in that respect, it's a different Melbourne Cup. I think we can treat it like that. I know weight says in history that it definitely is a disadvantage for these horses. But in saying that, I don't think his main competitors that I have in my numbers are those horses coming with real lightweight. I've got Spanish Mission in for second, who's going to carry the exact same weight as him. So I think that's a big point for punters to look at, and definitely don't dismiss him with that weight, because he's not going to have that young gun from overseas chasing him down. He's a strong horse, and I think that's a good point as well. He's a brute of a horse, and he's got that will to win that he can carry that weight for sure.
Look, hey, that's a very interesting answer there, Dino. Thank you very much for that. Rick Morris, so how about we start off with your four, mate?
Yeah, I've gone with Incentivise, David. I think, look, there hasn't been a shorter favourite since Far Lap. So this horse is something special. I saw Kingston Town get beat, and I don't know how it ever got beat, and it was $5 on the day, and that was probably one of the best horses you'd ever see. So $2.30. Admittedly, I think Deane's hit the nail on the head. There's not that import with the lightweight, with the few runs. They're a different breed that they've brought out this year. Spanish Mission, of course, being the second favourite, but he's carrying 57. Incentivise beat Mirage Dancer up in Queensland in the Tats Cup, Group 3 by 12 lengths. Mirage Dancer's no slouch. He didn't go too well yesterday, but, that sort of form line, beating up on, tough stayers by that margin just goes to show. And I really didn't expect him to win first up over the mile, because I think he's a stayer, an out-and-out stayer. He could come out and win the Cox Plate next year. He's so good. I think the weight's definitely the query. 2 miles, I don't think is. And I think he'll space him. I really do.
There we go, declaring it. How about your other positions there, Rick? You got Incentivise on top. What are we looking for the top four?
In the top four, I've got Charlie Rose. I really liked her Geelong Cup run. Was fantastic through the line. And she's been in probably career best form this time in. And, she's looking for further, no doubt about it. And, yeah, I think she gets in with the beautiful weight, 51 kilos. It's got to put her in the placings.
Okay, great. And rounding out your trifecta there?
Yeah, Floating Artist, second in the Moonee Valley Cup, was a terrific run after an off run at Caulfield, where I think it was just pace against it, and should have won the Moonee Valley Cup, which is a great preparation for this race. Again, 50 kilos, 2 mile, has run in the top 5 over 2,800 in the UK. So I think the distance is okay for it, and the lightweight puts her right in the frame, puts him right in front.
And rounding out your top four there, Rick?
I'm going with Spanish Mission, just on the class. Query at the weight, because the UK horses just haven't produced it with those kind of weights before. Some better horses than Spanish Mission have come out and failed, carrying 57, 58. So I'm sort of the opinion, I don't think it'll win, but its class might see it through in this field.
Okay, and I might just pick up your second pick there, Charlie Rose. I mean, obviously has raced over the 3,200 metres in the Adelaide Cup. Almost done by about 5 lengths there. I mean, can we say that it can get the distance on that run? And if not, I mean, where do you get that confidence that it can run up there in the top 2?
It's a really good point, Damien. Yeah, you've got to have a question mark over the 2 mile, but in saying that, it had an interrupted prep during that time, and it sort of was an afterthought, I feel, the Adelaide Cup, because it had 5 or 6 runs prior, had a bit of a let up, then came into it second up, which I never liked. So I think, it just wasn't the great preparation that it needed. I'll go early in that prep to the Bagot handicap on January 1st. It won by 7 lengths over 2,800 at Flemington. So I'm more likely to go by that run and know that it can stay the required trip through that run.
No, look, good insight there for punters, Rick. Thanks very much. So just rounding it out, Rick is going for Incentivise to win. Charlie Rose, Floating Artist, and Spanish Mission rounds out the top 4 for Rick. Thanks for that, mate. Moving on, of course, to Mick Gannon. Mick Gannon, what have you got there in your top 4, mate?
Mate, I got Incentivise on top for all the reasons the boys have suggested. It's not that hard to find. Horse was just unbelievable in the Caulfield Cup. Like, you're watching it and you're just thinking, oh, good luck. Like, this thing can't win from here. And then you hear Brett Preble hop off it and just how ecstatic he was post-race. He was just like, this horse will run 3,200. It's going to run through brick walls. He said something along the lines of, I nearly put it into the rails because it wouldn't stop. So, what does that say? Horse wants 3,200 metres. That's obvious as the day is long. I'll tell you one thing, though. I won't take $2.35. Simple as that. There's a huge chance it starts $3 because, on the toast just because all the mug money chimes in and everyone wants to back, some lunatics out there having 50 each way on Explosive Jack because they just don't like money or their son's named Jack. So there's a bit of that going around. If we can get $3, oh boy, won't you be betting? If we get $2.35, I don't know, just cheer it. Because let's put this one out here. If you're a jockey and you've got 22 other jockeys around you, you leave old Brady boy in the corner by himself. You bring him in and you go, right, let's give this bloke hell. All right, he's going to come across it's a competitive. We're talking competitive, elite level athletes. Come on, have a crack. Do not let him get across. Make it hard for him. Let's see how good he really is. 57 kilos, I've got no problem with. If Brett produces a good one and it finds cover, it wins by 3, 4, 5. As far as you can kick your hat. On to second, Floating Artist. I'll forgive you, Theo. You've cost me an absolute fortune. But now is the time cometh, the hour cometh the man. Lift, Theo, do something. The horse is fed ink and flying. Most definitely can run a career peak. If it does, and Incentivise gets a tough run, big chance for mine. And then 2, I had below that Charlie Rose. I think it was a pretty average lead up to the Adelaide Cup. I think the Geelong Cup was pretty good. And as Rick touched on, in the Bagot was very impressive. 51 kilos. She has to be a chance. And huge forgive for Delphi for mine. It was a soft. I don't think it likes the soft. So it gets back to a firm deck. Damien Oliver on. Lewis Willoughby's second favourite jockey on. And, mate, we'll give a sight, $51. So if there's one that you wanted to play that was over the odds, that's over the odds for me.
There we go. So just recapping there, Mick, we've got Incentivise on top, Floating Artist second, Charlie Rose third, and Delphi is rounding out your top 4. Mick, I want to ask a question and just coming off something that Dino said there. I mean, Dino spoke to the idea that, we don't have those champion lightweight imports this year that we can see coming through. You look at the run of Floating Artist in the Gold Cup there at Moonee Valley, which, 2,500, not far off the 32, certainly looked like it was going to, do a lot better. It was going to win the race, but by how much, I think the question is, why can't we assume for a second that maybe is up to, what some of those imports typically would pose as a threat in this race, that it itself could be that threat. Why can't it just be that good? I mean, where do you sort of relegate it as a clear second? And why do you relegate it as a clear second, I should say?
It hasn't reached its ceiling yet, right? So I think it can improve. It's definitely not a clear second as such for me, but I think it's been held up. It's been unlucky. It's drawn just perfectly. It's going to get every chance. So, mate, it's the best horse that we've got in regards to obviously behind the favourite. And just on that, mate, talking about the overseas, I know the boys have given Spanish Mission a chance. I've absolutely shelved it. Not interested. I know not far off Stradivius, but off the ratings that I've got here, Stradivius not going as good as it was 12 months ago. And I think, and this is not just for me, I think Dan O'Sullivan came out and said the exact same thing. So I'm pretty much just paraphrasing him because the bloke's a genius. But not going as good as it was, and it's had issues, right? Wasn't it lame 3 days ago?
Exactly.
So I've got it marked here. Go a bit of a laugh. I got it marked $38. There you go.
There we go.
Nice work.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that lane call there, Mick, but I'm sure anyone watching will chime in with some comments. Okay, guys. Well, look, hey, thanks for it. Looks like an overwhelming vote for Incentivise. No surprise at the quote, and certainly on the back of the prep. And look, I think I haven't seen a Caulfield Cup performance like that since Might and Power. Rick, what do you reckon? I mean, that was just overwhelming, really, I think is the word to use.
Yeah, and it was virtually asked to go 3 wide from the 800 and pour the pressure on, I suppose, rather than make it a sit sprint. Preble did make it really take on the rest of the field when he pulled out 3 wide. I think it's a lot like Might and Power, where it's just grinds them into the dirt, like he used to take off at the 1,000. So they adopted similar tactics there. I think he might be a bit better over the 2 mile than Might and Power. And I think he can win next year's Cox Plate as well. So just to add to how good this horse is.
Yeah, good. That's a nice way to go out. I think guys say, hey, look, thanks for getting up early on a Sunday morning, gents. We really appreciate your comments, and I'm sure the punters are going to too. Remember, punters, tell us what you think of these selections. If you think something can knock off the favourite, Incentivise, tell us, put a comment, let us know, and give us your thoughts. This is why it's a great game. Everyone's got an opinion, so don't be shy to put yours in. Deane, Rick, thanks, guys, and look, hey, all the best on Melbourne Cup Day, and I'm sure you'll both be having a big one.
Thanks, Damien. Thanks for having me, boys. Great chatting, and good luck over the next couple of days on the punt.
Thanks, Damien and Mick and Deane. Yeah, I'll be out there and might be updating some tweets for the great tip-off on Cup Day. Should be good fun.
Good day, Rick. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, fellas.
There we have it, folks. The Melbourne Cup edition is done. Mick, what else have we got coming up apart from this show this week?
Mate, we have a crap load of content on the website, some great previews, some ripping assessments there. We also have some amazing stuff coming out on YouTube. We've got All In with Deane, Watling and myself, which will be out tomorrow. There's some great stuff from Deane Lester as well, which you've seen over the week, so be sure to jump on and check that out. Please subscribe, please engage, leave comments, continue to give me a spray. I love it.
Yeah, good. And of course, your horse racing tips for the Melbourne Cup. There isn't a better resource on the internet. Greattipoff.com. Come to the site. If you've got a tipster in mind that you've heard about or whatever you're looking for, put it in the search, put his or her name in the search bar. They'll come up, you click, and then you go straight there and get the tips. Whatever else you're looking for, you'll see people who you probably don't know, who you're going to be impressed by. The stats for everyone. We've got our own Melbourne Cup tips page. So look for the banner on all the pages, click it, and you'll be taken straight there. Can't get better. There's free tips. And there's also packages from professional punters and others that you can purchase at your leisure. Or, of course, you can hot bet them, which means you just back them and you're on. Mick, hey, thanks again for getting me up on Sunday morning to have this chat, mate. Certainly.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Couldn't think of anything better to do on a Sunday morning. Absolutely. And I'm about to chime in and join Deane Watling in a couple of minutes. So we'll keep on keeping on, maybe get a nap this afternoon, and then straight into the form for today.
Absolutely. Hey, punters, all the best for Melbourne Cup. I hope you back a winner or 2 or 3. Mick, to yourself as well, mate. Signing out.
Signing out, mate. Before we go, give us your top 4.
My top 4. Geez, gosh, you put me on the spot. Look, I can't go past Incentivise. I really like Floating Artist. And look, I think Floating Artist will get closer than punters think. Look, if you can't get to your $3, Mick, you've sort of put that as the number where there's at least you're getting truer odds. Look, I'd be having something small and Floating Artist. I just don't know if it seems to be improving. I think it gets to 2 miles, but I'm certainly not going to go past Incentivise on top. Look, Charlie Rose. Look, had these picked out as well. I know the guys have said the same. I mean, certainly one of the other ones. I think this campaign seems to be improving all the time. I think it's very different to its Adelaide Cup. Still a question mark around the 2 miles. Look, I'll give you those as my top 3. Probably guessing outside of that, it's a very different cup than past years. So there's my trifecta. How's that go?
Perfect, mate. Beautiful.
All right, punters, all the best. We'll see you again next week. There'll be no tipster apart from this one this week, and then we'll see you next week after Stakes Day.